So one of my questions is, you talk about this culture between black and black violence. What is your solution then to that?
Don't commit crimes. I mean,
I feel like there's a bigger issue.
I mean, my broader solution really is that these communities require more police, not less. There's a woman named Jane Levy who writes for the LA Times. She's actually on the left, and she wrote an entire book about how a lot of the disparities in crime, particularly in black communities, were due to racism, but not in the way that we think of racism, like white cops going in and beating people up in black neighborhoods, but because white people basically said to black neighborhoods, take care of yourself. Right? And if there's high violence in your areas, then you take care of it yourself. Well, that leads to higher tribal levels of violence in any society, right? Whenever there's not an enforcement mechanism in place to actually stop crime, then the crime rates go up. And in fact, you know, the broken windows theory in New York City has saved an enormous number of black lives because the police were actually present and active. You need more active, present police hunting down people who kill other people. That's part of the problem. Part of the problem is that you actually need fathers who stick around. This is true in white communities and black communities. One of the great tragedies of the last 4 decades in the United States is that the single motherhood rate has risen not just in the black community from 20% in 1960 to over 70% now, but in 5% in the white community to over 40% now. That's a huge jump in both communities. Young men particularly do need a male influence there to curb them. As a man who was once young, I can attest to this. So I think that that's another aspect. And obviously, once you actually lower the crime rate, then you're going to get more economic growth. This is what's happened in particular areas of New York, where once the police were actually able to go in and shut down crime in particular areas, then suddenly businesses could come back in. They weren't afraid of being robbed. And suddenly people were willing to live in those areas who weren't willing to live before. This is gentrification, and gentrification is a good thing. Right? The left